I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I just finished speaking with Dr. Bill Donohue about his book, Common Sense Catholicism, How to Solve Our Cultural Crisis, published by our friends at Ignatius Press, available through our EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. A powerful book. Bill, why'd you decide to read it?
I think I just pretty much had it like a lot of Americans with all this fiction and delusional ideas that are out there coming from the colleges and universities, which affect our laws and our culture and our public policy. And I just felt after teaching for so many years, I have something to say, and I'm not saying all intellectuals. I am saying the blue sky people, many of them in the social sciences and humanities, they reject the idea of God, they reject the idea of human nature, and once you get those two things wrong, that there's no such thing as human nature, there's no such thing as God, everything you recommend in terms of public policy and law is wrong. And the Catholic Church has the answer. It's not like as if we're stuck, okay? People need to have a little gut check too. If your own common sense tells you that idea doesn't make any sense to me, don't believe the guy with all the alphabet letters behind him. I got a PhD too. You know, I mean, it's a joke. People have oversold these people. Some of the most dangerous ideas are coming out of the academy today, and it's messed up a lot of young people, and that's why I wrote this book.
And why is that the case? I mean, you're talking about society in general and some of the issues, but obviously how it's springing out of the academy. How did the academy get to be where it is today?
Well, it began clearly back in the 1960s when you have the affluence of the 60s and you have the radicalization of society and the secularization. But I think basically it came under attack in the 70s and 80s with the idea of deconstruction, the idea that there's no such thing as truth. I've had to put it in a kernel. Once you say there's no such thing as truth, which is what Hitler believed, as well as these great philosophers, then you're saying, well, look, who's going to... I used to say to the professors, if there's no such thing as truth and everything is subjective, don't you put a grade on the student's term paper? Isn't that an objective mark of some sort? In the Olympics, when we have diving competition, what do? They have 10 judges, they throw the two on the far out, and then you make a composite. I said, subjective doesn't have to be random, but they see themselves as God. See, once you come to the conclusion that there's no such thing as God, I am the one who's at the command center, and I will educate the social engineers to reprogram people. Because since everything is a social construction, we can make everybody, a man can become a woman and vice versa. There's no such thing as biology that matters, chromosomes, we don't have to worry about them. I mean, this is madness, quite frankly, Doug. This is madness, and people need to call it for what it is. And all these geniuses, if they'd like to debate Bill Donohue on this, I would love to do so.
Just before we go, what about Catholics out there? This book is not explicitly for Catholics. I mean, they certainly, there's a great sense of their common sense. But they sit there and say, yeah, I'm a common sense Catholic, but I'm looking at what's going on in the church today, and I wonder, you know, my own common sense tells me there's a lot of problems.
And I get a lot of that kind of commentary, and I think here's the way I would answer this. Every priest or bishop who did something wrong by departing from the teachings of the Catholic Church. They weren't conforming to them, all right? If the priest had followed their vows and not their id or their sexual impulses, we wouldn't have had this problem. Nobody can improve on the 10 Commandments. The Catholic Church improves on them only to the extent of giving life to them in a richer context. But that's what the Catholic Catechism is about. The answers are there. Now, they're not very popular. We have a high bar to raise, okay? In other words, we say you ought to practice some restraint in your life. People don't want to hear that. That's heresy today. But you know what? Go ahead and practice the opposite. Throw restraint to the wind and live a libertine life. Practice license. And see how long you live and how happy you're going to be.
Right, very good. The book is Common Sense Catholicism, How to Resolve Our Cultural Crisis by the one and only Bill Donohue of the Catholic League. Thank you so much, Bill. And this book is available through our EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. Look for the entire interview coming soon on the network. And this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief. Thank you so much for stopping by.